Blessed day to you, all my sports to the bone people. Back at it again with another update. This one is a late evening update. Have a couple of things to look at in this one. Now, earlier today, I was doing some reading and I came across an article where Sonel Gavaskar was speaking about West Indies bowlers. I mean, as cricket fans, sometimes you will hear people say some things about your team, especially outsiders, and you want to go into it and, answer them and say certain things. But when you really take a stock and look into it, it's really, what they're saying is true. It's just that it's probably coming from an outsider, so you might feel a little bit riled up about it and feel a way. But when you look into what they're saying, it's true. So he was basically saying that with the exception of Jaden Seals, our bowlers looked like net bowlers in that first game against India. Gonna share that bit of story, and we're also gonna be sharing some sad news. The Caribbean, we lost a legend of West Indies cricket, someone who was crucial in West Indies lifting the first World Cup title all the way back in 1975, talking about Bernard Julien, right? We see where even Dr. Shallow sent out a piece earlier today, just sharing some information and letting people know, that he has passed and just reminding people of what he contributed to West Indies cricket. So I'm going to share a little bit about that. So just give a listening ear until the end and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So I am on the West Indies Facebook page. The headline says statement on the passing of legend Bernard Julien by Dr. Kishore Shallow, president of West Indies cricket. Obviously, it was before my time, right? He was long before my time, but you know how I like to do it. Once somebody has contributed to West Indies cricket in a positive way, I will definitely find a way to highlight them. Even if they didn't finish off as how people thought they should have, but once he contributed something positive, I will share. So I'm gonna read a little bit of this piece and then we'll move on. So starting on a sad note. So it says the passing of Bernard Julien invites reflection on both brilliance of his cricketing life and complex times through which he lived. He went on to say his career reminds us that the story of West Indies cricket is not only about triumphs on the field, but about the choices and circumstances that shaped generations of players and the region itself. Goes on to say Bernard was one of the quiet legends of the 1975 World Cup. They say a tournament that 50 years ago brought the region joy like no other, as the West Indies lifted the first men's world title in the history of the game. They say his skill and composure were central to the victory. He took 4 for 20 against Sri Lanka, 4 for 27 against New Zealand, and 2 for 38 in the final at Lord's, along with a vital 26 not out that helped to seal the championship. So he played a crucial role in us winning that title, my people, right? Even in the final. So just to give you some more information as relates to his career. So they say in all, Bernard played 24 test matches for the West Indies, scoring 866 runs at an average of 30.92. We could use a batsman averaging 30 right now. Taking 50 wickets at 37.36. In one-day internationals, he claimed 18 wickets at 25.72. They say as a left-arm swing bowler, his delivery was smooth and rhythmic, capable of moving the ball both ways. Right, just to let you know a little bit more now. So they say his international career came to an end following his participation in the 1982-83 and 83-84 tours of South Africa during a period when the world of sport was sharply divided by the moral and political challenges of apartheid. Right, and we all, even if we weren't born, that we weren't around that time, we have all read about that and learned about that in school, the apartheid system in South Africa back then. Right, they said those decisions reflected the difficult realities of the era, right, and the pressures faced by players navigating competing demands of opportunity and based on the circumstances is what they're saying. So, right, so it wasn't a joyful time for him and many other players. A lot of the players haven't been forgiven that are alive. They haven't been forgiven by regional and people around across the world up to this day. So that is a piece that they have shared. There's some more information here which you can see on the West Indies official Facebook page. We don't see what actually took his life, so we're not too sure. Don't know if it's in the traditional news media, but just sharing this from the West Indies official Facebook page. He played for West Indies, so I'm assuming this would be a creditable source to get some information on about him. So, rest in peace to him, and to his family members and friends. May the Lord be with you as you go through this time of grief. It's never easy to lose a loved one, notwithstanding. Never easy at all. So, shout out to all the family members. All right, I would almost want to say moving on to a lighter note or ending on a lighter note, but I don't know if that can be the case when it comes on to our test team, right? And I'm talking about Sunil Gavaskar now from India, basically pointing out something that most West Indies fans would agree with. We're probably upset because it's coming from somebody outside of the Caribbean, but truth is truth. Right, so this is Sunil Gavaskar, and I quote: to see their new ball attack in the first test in Ahmedabad was a shock to those who have grown up seeing the ball whistle past the batters' noses at least 2 or 3 times and over. Right, as Gavaskar wrote on his Sports Star column. So he's saying that for all those who grew up watching West Indies cricket, it's really sad seeing what we have working with. I mean, the 2 guys that were expected to really rock them back and put them under some problems, those guys were out injured. But I guess, as Sunil is saying, back in the days, if you had 1 or 2 players out, you still could find a couple, He said that apart from Jaden Seals, the other 2 were simply not ready, right? He said that who looked more like net bowlers than international ones. Man said no disrespect intended to them, but to see the first bouncer being bowled after half a dozen overs had been bowled made one ask, is this really the West Indies pace attack? He went on to say the ease with which the Indian won the first test was no doubt wonderful to watch for Indian cricket fans, but at the same time, it was saddening to see the depths to which West Indies, a once invincible team, had fallen. Right? Went on to say there is not a cricket lover in the world who isn't disappointed by the performances of the West Indies test team over the last couple of decades or so. End quote for now. And I mean, that is what he's saying now, but a lot of people, when we started turning the corner, and back then in terms of the wrong side of the corner, a lot of people weren't necessarily worried that we were going down the hill. Yeah, you understand, when we were starting, because of how dominant we were, based on what I have heard and read, right? So it's really tough. It's tough, especially for those who were around in our dominant time. All I know is just pain. When it comes down to West Indies cricket, all I know is pain. Pain. That's all I know, my viewers and subscribers, just pain. These guys saw the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. All I know is pain when it comes down to West Indies cricket. The only 3 or 4 significant things I can remember, right? 2004, we won that Champions Trophy, right? I can hardly remember it too well either, because I was probably about 10 or so, right? And then the 2 T20 World Cup, which I can call that play cricket, we won those. And we have had a couple of series here and there, but nothing else. So it's just pain and disappointment, for somebody like me and people within my age group. I know it's difficult for people who witness the heydays, right? But at least they witness some good part of West Indies cricket. We grew up loving the game, and we just living with pain And it seems as if we're going to live with the pain until we pass. So that is how it's looking, my people. But we're going to leave it. Big up.